Hey there, I'm back for video 2. I think it's been 2 days since I did the other one and published that one. I think I have other videos that I could definitely post from like the past couple of weeks. Not specifically, I didn't make them specifically for this, but they were just like me talking out loud in the car. So maybe I'll go through that and see how that works. Since this is all so new to me. Yeah, I know I need to just keep showing up consistently, and I'm trying different things each time. So this is definitely a big experiment with me in a lot of ways. Like today I got my first subscriber and first comment, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Let me look at that. Because I think last time I checked, I think like nobody but me had like viewed it. Like, and I was just like, all right, whatever, that's probably going to be the case until I make like 50 more or whatever. But then I was like, okay, let me look a little bit more at the analytics. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's totally okay. I just figured I'd mention it now just because this is all part of my journey. This is like, just like me doing this and experimenting is really like just something I want to do out loud, like real time, like without editing, without like worrying and strategizing too much about what I'm putting out there. I mean, I kind of fall into 2 categories. Like typically I either show up as is, like I'm doing right now, where I just hit the record button and starting to talk. And, you know, the other mode is preparing, except that what happens in my case is that preparing goes like haywire. Preparing for something like turns into over preparation. And that is like tied into, I think, from what I'm learning, my perfectionism and probably some element of OCD. I'm still not really sure where those overlap or if they're all part of the same or what. Everything is so mushed together, especially when you have like a bunch of things like I do: anxiety, persistent depressive disorder, ADHD, and OCD. So those are the ones I know about, for sure. I did have a neuropsych eval done over the summer, and that should basically kind of cover everything. I definitely had questions going into that, like, look, like I've been treated for a really long time, and diagnosed for a long time with the anxiety depression component, and then the OCD added on about, that was probably the 3rd thing that got added on. And then the ADHD thing really only got officially diagnosed last summer. So when I was 47. So that was like, I don't know, 9 months ago or whatever. So this, I guess, identity or diagnosis and management, treatment, all of that, learning, education is a huge part of that. Has all just been happening like over time, or like every day, basically. It's quite a journey. And it's just, yeah, there's so many parts to it. It's crazy. And just so happened that like a month after I got that diagnosis, that's the same time I got laid off, like literally overnight, out of the blue. 40% of the editorial staff got slashed. We thought the cuts that had happened earlier, you know, that we'd been saved. We'd been told that multiple times, that if you made it this far, you're in it, you're staying, and that didn't happen. So that was a kick in the balls, overnight. But you know what? I think it was possibly the best thing that could have happened to me. It's probably too early to really say that. I don't have a lot of runway here to look back, and I haven't really, you know, I have so much far ahead of me to go before I can say, yeah, this was great, and look, you know, at the success and the things I've done. And I'm still way too early in the process. But if I paid attention to the metrics that are just as important to me, and that has to do with personal development and paying attention to who I am, getting to know more about me, what I need, what I want, and who I am, you know, this journey is going to be way, way more healthy and meaningful to me than anything I could have done in terms of professional stuff anyway, up until this point, up until that layoff. Being a mother has been a huge part of my life and always will be, and it still is, like, completely. But like, yeah, I mean, that's been for almost 21 years. That's been the number one focus, right? Now this is time for me to kind of like be like, okay, one's in college, one's gonna be going to college in a little bit over a year, and then I have a pretty independent, almost 13-year-old. And so, yeah, it's time for me to pay attention to what I need right now. And this feels right. I don't know what it looks like yet. And I don't know at all, because this is a total like zigzaggy journey. But every day I think about it like a lot. And every day I'm show up and determined to learn something that day, even if it's what not to do. And I learn from mistakes, and we all do, right? So as long as we're paying attention to what we're doing and whether it works or not, or, you know, just take that with you, because everything that you do, every mistake you make, as long as you're aware of it, and then you're like, that didn't work, you know, you're making progress. And so that's the way I look at it. Even when I have nothing to show, feel like I have nothing to show at the end of the day, as I often do, so many days. So yeah, I just feel like it's important to talk about this part of, especially the beginning, like this. For what am I started, I guess it was my birthday present. My 48th birthday present on January 8th was to officially launch my business. That's when I, like, you know, made my website go live and basically told the universe, or just LinkedIn really, and my family, maybe a couple of friends, that this is what I was doing. And yeah, and like that was January. We're like almost the end of April here. And things were starting out pretty good. I had a really exciting thing happen to me like a month into this, which was that I got chosen to talk on one of my favorite podcasts, which is, do you all know Gold Digger with Jenna Kutcher? She, like, I've been listening to her since, like, I don't know, since last summer probably, right? Maybe last September or whatever. And yeah, and I even this morning I was listening to today's drop. And it was actually, this is what reminded me. It's one of those coaching sessions, which is what I got chosen for, to go on and record. She's trying to do like one of those every month or two with just regular old people like me, you know, in different phases of their business journey. And she just basically does a live coaching session with them. And it was such an amazing experience. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, this is crazy. And I was so nervous about it. And this ties into what I was talking about a little earlier with the whole over preparation thing. This was so important to me. And I felt like there was, like, the stakes were so high for me to like show up like in a way that was going to, you know, be the best that I could be, and, you know, all of these things. But I had, I don't know, what was it? Like maybe 2 weeks from the time they reached out and asked if I wanted to do it to the time that we were going to sit down and actually record the session. And so I didn't have a ton of information to go by, because the person who would be the liaison, she, with all the details, she was on vacation the week before I was supposed to do it. And so I had so many questions, and I just needed all the information. I needed to know exactly like what I was doing, what was happening, and all that kind of stuff. And I sent some emails or whatever, and I didn't want to come across as really annoying, but like, I don't know, I tried to explain, like, I was really anxious about it, and I really, wanted to make the most of this experience. So I got what I needed, but I over prepared. I spent so many hours, so much focus and like obsession, basically, like just trying to figure out like what I was going to say, which questions I was going to ask her. That was a huge thing, because it's like I can ask any 5 questions to this amazing, business, marketing specialist, and just like crazy, talented and successful person, and sweet as hell. And I wanted to, I wanted to ask the best questions. Like, I was like, okay, let me ask the questions that are going to yield me the best results so that I can apply them to my business. And at the same time, hopefully those questions were going to somehow, like, talking about those topics was going to help people who were listening. So she's got like hundreds of thousands of listeners and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, yeah, but I overdid it. I know I did. I was happy with the way things turned out, but like, I can't afford to spend that much time preparing on something. I mean, for this was like a one-off thing. Like, it's not like I'm going to be on, like, I doubt I'm ever going to be on another podcast again, right? Like, I mean, I'd love to be, because that's how I met my clients. Like, I still get messages like a couple times a week, people who have just listened to the episode, and reached out to me and booked a call with me or whatever, or just on Instagram, like send me a DM being like, hey, like, let's connect. Like, it was really, nice hearing the conversation. Thanks so much for showing up, that kind of thing. And that is amazing. Like, that is exactly like why I would do something like this again, and what I was hoping to get out of it. So, great experience. So I highly recommend, if anybody has any interest in something like that, like, her Facebook group is how this happened. I just saw her post that's like, hey, tell me what your business does and what problems you have. And I just wrote like a heartfelt little like blurb, and they reached out to me. So yeah, sometimes you just gotta take that shot. I could have totally skipped it and be like, man, there's no chance, anyone's gonna want to listen to me, because, what am I doing that's special, or who am I? Like, I'm not interesting and whatever. But I am so glad I didn't do that. And it didn't even occur to me to say no when they reached out to say, do you want to do this? Like, I was like scared as shit, but I was like, I'm 100% in. Like, I didn't even think about it when I hit reply. I was like, yes, right? Because, yeah, but I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing, and so self-conscious. I had no idea until like 2 days before we were supposed to record that it was video based. And I was like, holy shit. Like, this whole time I thought it was just going to be a recording, like a video recording. And I guess I hadn't been following her on YouTube to know that's how they do it now. Like, I don't know when this started. I don't know. Maybe she's been doing a lot longer than this, but I honestly only ever listened to her in the car on the podcast. So this was like so scary to me and totally threw me out of whack, like everything that I was expecting. So then I was like, oh my God, like, I don't have time to get my bangs cut, or whatever. Think about what I'm gonna wear, like stupid stuff like that. I was feeling super, super self-conscious, and I just do. I am self-conscious, and there was just that added component of just feeling bad about myself and worrying, but like not wanting that to have anything to do with the reason why I was there. Like, the whole reason I was there had nothing to do with what I looked like, right? So yeah. So I had to really, really try hard to focus on the fact that I am here showing up to have this conversation and be myself. And that was the best I could do, right? And so, yeah, it was hard. Like, after we were done recording the session, I felt really good, but I was like, I think I felt good because it was over. And I was like, okay, I didn't do anything crazy. Like, I was totally scared that my mind was gonna go blank, even though I had like all these notes in front of me. I almost had too many notes in front of me. I had everything like laid out, but like once we started talking and stuff, like, I mean, a little bit, I like would refer to them, like she'd be like, okay, on to the next question. So I definitely had it laid out. We're like in an order of like the questions, like word for word of exactly what I would ask, so that I didn't totally go off rambling or like, you know, ask her a question that didn't make any sense. So those were definitely premeditated and written down so that I could just read them off. But everything else was just spontaneous. It was just, you know, a conversation or whatever. But I was totally scared that she was going to ask me something and I was just going to completely blank out or ask me a question that I felt like I should know the answer to, like, tell me what you do or something like that. And then I would look like an idiot because I would be like, you know, I don't know. So I feel like it was fine. I feel like, hey, for all the worries and everything that I had and the fact that this was my first time doing this, like, I was like, okay. And it was like, I was actually surprised at that. Like, I thought I was going to, it took me a while, I will admit, to actually listen to the recording because they offered to give me the raw footage of it to listen to, like right after we recorded it, even though it wasn't going to be aired for like a couple weeks. And I sat on that for like, I don't know, a couple weeks probably to the point where I was like, look, I just gotta fucking listen to this, you know, like I just want to know. And the thing is it was raw footage, so it was like wasn't edited yet or anything like that. And I was like, you know what, if there's anything really messed up, like they're gonna fix it, right? I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but so what did I do? I stuck in my earpods and I hit play and I just walked around the house. I paced around the house just listening and trying not to judge myself, trying not to cringe at everything, like the sound of my voice, which is a big thing. And again, there was no video involved. It was literally just the raw audio. And I listened to the whole thing. It was like 45 minutes long and stuff. And I was like, okay, all right, this is gonna happen. In a couple days, not everybody, but you know, whoever it's gonna be out there and stuff. And I was okay with that. And then it dropped and I got a lot of like really positive like reinforcement from it and so many nice people, and just it was a good experience because I was really like, I don't know what to expect. And you know, yeah, it was great, but it took me I don't know, another week or two before I clicked on the YouTube video. And honestly, I don't think I've watched the whole thing. I don't think I cared, honestly enough. I think I've definitely watched pieces of it and snippets in here and there, but I already knew how the conversation went. I already knew how I sounded, what I said, and like all that kind of stuff. And I was like, really, in the whole scheme of things, is it gonna really matter what I look like? Like, I look like how I look, yeah? So, I mean, yeah. And I knew that I would spend more time going, oh my God, like, what's wrong with my bangs? Like right here, and like, oh, like you're looking in the wrong way, or your teeth look funny when you did that, or your laugh sounded funny, whatever it was, right? And I was like, what's the point? That's absolutely useless. So I pretty much didn't pay attention to it. But I thought it was really interesting because I was like, you know what? Showing up on video and getting more comfortable with that, like, you know, I'm comfortable with myself, right? In all of its flaws and everything. And that includes physically, and it includes how I communicate, what I'm saying, obviously, all of that. Just sort of showing up as me, as I've been thinking about it. So yeah, so I'm not sitting down with like an agenda. Like I think about like, oh, I think it's because I think about things. I'm like, oh, that's something I could talk about for 20 minutes or whatever, or at least 7. But it's not like, it's not like something I have to say. Because I kind of like the idea of sitting down with some sort of ideas of a couple things. I have like in my head right now, I'm like, there's like 5 other things. And looking, it's 19 minutes now. I'm like, no one's going to make it past, I don't know, if they watch it at all. But I think it's important for me to just keep doing this. And I'm going to improve with each one in some way. Like today, I'm filming it on my iPad. I just realized I have no idea what the audio looks like, whether the audio is right. So I could have screwed this up just like I did the first one, even though I did it on a completely different, I did it on my phone. And the reason why, I guess, I don't know. I think I did it on QuickTime or something, whatever. I'm going to try it different ways each time and then see how it goes. All right. So maybe I'm going to do one of these every day. I have no idea, but I'm going to see a really, really cool, I'm entered into a seminar. I signed up for a seminar that out of the blue from like the person that I learned like 90% of the stuff that I've been learning for business I'm figuring out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it and what I want and everything. For Arlen Hamilton, back in September, like I discovered her. I found out about her back in 2019, and I'll have a whole episode just on that story alone. But back in September, I like kind of doubled down on everything because she had so many resources that were free and so valuable and accessible. And I was like, I don't need to look anywhere else right now. I trust this person, and like what she says and how she teaches and her philosophies and her values and everything like that. I was like, just like on board with, to the point where I was like, I get overwhelmed when I'm trying to, well, I think we all do, but like my brain tries to like take in all of this stuff and then doesn't. My ADHD, I think it might have something to do with not being able to prioritize things. And so, yeah, so if there's like a whole bunch of stuff in there, I guess I can figure out like, okay, 90% of this is crap, and then this 10% is good. But it's like, I know with her stuff, it's like, yeah, there might be something better out there, but like, this is really good and this works for me. So I'm gonna sort of go tunnel vision on this for now until I run out of reasons to, like maybe I learned everything and I'm like nowhere near, because she has so much stuff. And so, yeah. And so there are 3 people. I'm going to go into a separate episode on that. Actually, I started making a video like a couple months ago, that actually like I think touches upon this, but maybe I'll just start a new one, or I'll post the old one just for the hell of it. But anyway, it has to do with 3 people only, who I think a lot of and I learn almost exclusively from. It doesn't mean that I don't like watch videos and listen to things and sign up for this and get emails. It doesn't mean I don't do that as well, but that's like maybe 10% of what my attention and focus and time is spent on right now. Because yeah, if we spread ourselves too thin and we start trying to grab randomly from all these different things, I just feel like, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to cherry pick everything. And I am doing that essentially, but I got to start somewhere. Like, I feel like I'm going to shut down if I'm like, oh, I have 10 people I do this with. And it's like, holy shit, there's like so much. And then I shut down and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this is going to be a failure, So, which happens, like 30 times a day. I'm not gonna, maybe you'll see me do that one of these times, like on the camera. I'm gonna show up at random times of the day, whether my cycle is up or down, whether I've had my ADHD medicine or not. Like, yeah, I never know how I'm gonna feel or what my energy is gonna be like each day throughout the day. I'm trying to zoom out and kind of like record like what that is, but it's kind of all this dysregulation, emotional dysregulation, I didn't realize was a huge part of ADHD. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna be talking a lot about ADHD and how it shows up in my life from what I learned. And the interesting thing is that there are like no 2 ADHD brains that are the same. So what might be a typical thing, and there's definitely like a lot of things that check the box, but then there's other things where I'm like, I'm completely the opposite. And I feel like, I think that's important to talk about, is that, you might see things and then be like, oh, that's not me because I'm really good at this, or I'm really bad at that, or whatever it is, right? But that's not necessarily the case, because it's very, very sort of like, unique to you in how it shows up. I would say, I don't know. I suspected I had ADHD over the last couple of years, because as what normally happens with late diagnosis, especially in women, is that one of the kids gets diagnosed, because the diagnosis is so much more prevalent now than it was when we were in school. And so they're catching those sorts of things early now, which is thank goodness, because 2 of my 3 kids are diagnosed with, and my youngest one has the same type as me, which is combination, hyperactive and inattentive. And I'll go into those later if anyone's not clear. But I never want to speak for like people of like, oh, these are the signs, or this means you have that, or anything like that. I'm never gonna do that. because I really only at this point, there's so many experts out there, and I will point you to who I listen to learn and how and what resonates with me and why, just to pass on those resources. But I myself really just want to talk about me and like what I'm learning about business, about myself, about ADHD, mental health in general. Being a parent is a huge part of my life, and I don't think I'm gonna be spending much time talking more than just generally about that, because that's a whole nother issue, right? Like there's the privacy and everything that I'm very, very protective of. And so that's not going to be a huge part. But the things I do talk about, or the way I talk about it, are things that will have consent from my kids, and everything. So just putting that out there. All right, now this is 25 minutes. This is crazy. No one's going to watch it, but I'm not editing it, and I'm just going to fucking do it. All right. I'm going to do another one maybe tomorrow. Oh, I forgot to say, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this. I wanted to show any 90s goths out there who remember Switchblade Symphony. I might post something. I'm gonna do those fancy things where it's like, then there's like a shot of like the album cover or whatever. But like, yeah, I've had this since the 90s. I still wear band t-shirts like that have holes in them. You'll probably see me wearing most of them, but that's like 90% of my wardrobe. That and overalls from free people now, because I need new clothes or whatever. But I love my t-shirts. I'm never gonna get rid of them. Anyway, if you're into goth music or synth industrial type stuff or whatever, I will be talking music. I like way other music things too, but this is the sort of shit like that I used to listen to exclusively when I was in college in the 90s, and stuff before I became a mom. I still love it though. I have my CDs. Okay, see ya.